Okay, thank you for being here and welcome to a brave conversation with the amazing Chantal Carter. Chantal is an amazing human that I've had the privilege of getting to know over the last little while. And she's also the founder of Love Nudes, which is a really important business that I'm really excited to learn more about, that we're all going to be able to learn more about, and moreover, why she started it and why it's more important now than ever. And I'm also very fortunate to call her a friend. And I'm not saying that because of this conversation. And I've learned, actually, thanks to Chantal, that one of the things that Black people do not like hearing is, "Oh, but I've got a Black friend." It's not about that. And I'm learning so much over the last little while with, in respect to white fragility and in respect to the fact that racism is real, it exists, and I know it's a tough conversation to have, and it's an important conversation to have, and a brave conversation to have. And that's why we're here, because we have a lot to learn, and I'm very, very grateful and very excited to be learning from you, Chantal, because you've been extremely patient with me over the last little while. And I love the fact that we're in this together. I know different perspectives and perceptions exist. Obviously, and everyone's feelings are valid. And we can't look back. We need to be where we are now and move forward. And one of the things we need to do is acknowledge, I've learned from you as well, but not stay in the shame or the guilt, because that perpetuates the issue. So welcome to today's brave conversation. I'm really, really excited and honored, Chantal, to have you. We have so much to learn from, and I think we're very lucky to have you to be able to do that. So welcome. I want to give you an opportunity to say welcome. And, before we jump into conversation about your business and asking you deep questions, I want to just ask from your perspective, we call these brave conversations. Brave means so many different things to different people. And we've brought it up numerous times, even before everything that's happened over this last week and a little bit. What does brave mean to you?
Yeah, brave means to me is to stepping out of your comfort zone and just doing something different that you've never done before, regardless of what other people are going to think about it. To me, that's powerful. It's like bravery is when I see someone who's willing to stand alone because that's what they believe in, even when everybody else is against them. To me, that's huge. That's what bravery is to me, because I feel like as a collective society, one of the reasons this is still happening is because the status quo is in existence. Nobody's doing anything different. So when someone is willing to step away from what everyone else is doing and stand alone, even if no one shows up around them, because that's their conviction and that's their belief, that's bravery. And that's how I want to show up. As much as I can, I feel like I need to show up like that for my son, because it has been difficult. It has been difficult for years and years for someone who looks like me, for someone who's Black. We saw that played out on national television. So yeah, bravery to me is when you are willing to do something different than you've already done, no matter who discourages you and no matter what other people think.
Thank you. I want to, there's so much that I want to talk about, but you mentioned your son, and I remember in one of our conversations, you saying what it's like for him, because the reality is we don't know what that experience is like, and we saw it on television, but we don't wake up every day afraid of making sure that, we're doing the right thing, or we have to cross the street because somebody might be scared of us, or we can't get too angry when things are not fair. Like, there's so many things that you're not allowed to express. And
like my son, he's He's brilliant, he's educated, he's smart, but he's also tall and broad and Black. And because of that, I have to worry about what could happen to him. When I see things like the police brutality, that's like Black men who have been shot, this recent event, the George Floyd, with a police officer's knee in his neck, who sat there while we watched in horror for 10 minutes, snuffed him out slowly. I can see my son's body under that. And if that was my son that happened to you, I think I would die. And to have that played over and over again is so stressful to watch. And my brilliant son, I've had to like stifle his creativity because I'm afraid. Are you sure you want to wear your hair like that? Don't wear a hoodie. You sure you want to wear that hoodie? Don't be running at night. You know, I have to warn him about these things, to be on the alert for. And he works in Alberta, or he's worked in Alberta for the government. And he's told me how he's been repeatedly questioned about his presence in that building. Like, excuse me, where are you going? What are you doing here? Because white people are not used to seeing that. So before his day even gets started, and it's happened to so many of us, our presence is questioned, you're stressed out because you just had to justify why you even exist. So, and I'm not condoning the violent rioting, but I understand the anger because so many, like, it's like we've had to be like, oh, you know, tense and like suppress ourselves and told to make ourselves smaller to make everybody else comfortable, and nothing changes. It's the same narrative, the same killing. It seems like it's gotten even worse because, you know what, again, looking at George Floyd with a police officer's knee in his neck, that's personal contact. I'm not downplaying the previous killings by police. They were shooting. There's kind of a disconnection there. But to actually see somebody like pinning somebody down and holding them and seeing them die is the contact. That police officer was so in his ego, so in his, I'm the authority, that he didn't even realize. I don't know. Maybe he did realize, but I look at it, he couldn't even, that's a human underneath there. That person was handcuffed, but to me, he was more interested in displaying his authority, being in his ego. And someone died as a result of that.
I think the personal contact is something that, in addition to that, I had never thought about. And to hear you say that it's getting worse is frightening. And I'm curious to hear, there's so many mixed emotions and feelings about what is happening right now. And is this a trend? Is this because of COVID-19, the perfect storm, or is this actually the beginning of something that could make it a change? And I would love to hear your perspective on, if is this getting worse? Or is this going to be something that actually can finally be the moment where we're willing to stand up, step up, say something?
Well, Carol, I can only have hope. I have faith, faith. I believe in God. I believe in the universe, but I believe in God. And it's like, for me, my faith is being stretched. Because if you don't have any faith or hope, then there's nothing. You might as well just kill yourself, in my opinion. But there's hope, and then there's things that need to change. Like, right now this is happening, but I feel like we can't go around shaking our fists for 3 weeks. What's the news cycle like on this? Like 3 weeks? You know, like 3 weeks down the line, something else is gonna come up, you know? And the narrative has to change. Brave conversations need to happen, awkward conversations between Black people and, no, white people have to, they need to listen and make changes. And, you know, I was interviewed by CBC and they asked me, what do I think about companies and like corporations, you know, what they're saying, how they stand behind Black Lives Matter. And I was like, that's great and everything, but I want to see what's happening 6 months down the line, 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line. It's more than that, like a hashtag and a post, and you know, and I said, we're not a trend. This is our lives. And our culture is appropriated all day long, and we don't get anything for it. You know, we get killed on the streets instead. And that needs to change, and that means our businesses need to be invested in. My business is about inclusion. It's like, for those of you who don't know, I created a line of skin tone bras and panties for people that look like me, for Black people, for Black skin, the different shades of Black skin, because I was entrenched in fashion. I grew up in fashion. I worked as a stylist, and it's like every time they were talking about nude trends, it wasn't speaking to me. It was only beige. And I was like, what is this? I had to paint a bra, buy a white bra and a white panty and paint it so it could match my skin tone, so I can wear fashion the way I wanted to. But then I realized, and I started this business, it's like, no, it's not just for me to wear fashion the way I wanted to. It's about being acknowledged and validated, and how we have to constantly navigate through stuff, and, you know, how we have to work 3 times as hard to get a quarter of what other people get. I'll say it with what white people get. Conversations in my Black community, I realized that all of us are warned from young. Don't stand out, don't do this, you gotta fit in, you gotta work 3 times as hard for everything, you know, and I see that, you know. So I created this line to say to my people, to Black people, to women of color, I see you. Here's something that looks like you. So you can get up, wear fashion the way you want, feel good about who you are, and feel validated before you start your day. Because man, it's a battlefield out there. And the thing is that when I brought this to an investor, he told me, you know what? There's too many colors here. You know, it's gonna be hard for a store to carry all these colors. And you know what I heard? I heard that I don't matter. For him, it was business. But for me, it was like, you don't matter. And businesses can't always only be about profit. Yeah, there's gonna be people who only care about profit, but I want corporations and leaders to be more about people. People over profit. This is why we're having these issues, because systematically, it's the same shit. It's the same people in charge, the same narrative. So I said that I would like to see corporations take a knee. Take a knee like George Kaepernick did. For all of you who might not know, Colin Kaepernick, the football player who took a knee because he was sick and tired of police brutality and police killings of Black men. Take a knee like George Floyd had to take a knee where he lost his life. And invest in Black businesses. Invest in Black people. Don't just profit off of us all day long. You know, hire media, tech, you know, invest in Black tech companies, invest in, hire Black people in service industries, hire Black people in media where it's visible. So behind the scenes, in advertising, more news anchors. So people get used to seeing diversity and different conversations can be had. And we have the opportunity as a people to grow and have and build our own economic wealth instead of struggling all the time.
I really appreciate you. There are so many things that I think are worth hearing, but I think I also love that there's actions that you can, that we can do, because it's one thing to talk about this. And I know you mentioned, you know, it's not a trend, and I fully believe, and I think, you know, you sharing the fear of what the long-term accountability is going to be and who actually is going to take responsibility for that. And I saw a video of a man who said the pain right now that we're feeling is real, but it's nothing compared to the pain we're going to feel in 3 weeks from now when everyone's moved on. And I think that's something that I agree 100%. It's about action and accountability. And what does that mean and look like? And I think brave conversations are important. And I think it's really important for us to know what we can actually do. And so I love that you said tangible. Invest in Black businesses, right?
Buy from us, support us, put your money, because all of this killing, the worst, I think, because of the contact, and all the other is just a layer of the onion of what's really going on here. It's just not just like this was it was able to happen because of systematic racism and exclusion. You have to follow the money. This is why things like this happen. Follow the money. So you wanna help? Buy from Black businesses. Afrobiz.ca, there's directories. Buyblacks.com. You can see, let's start there. We gotta start somewhere. You know what I need? I need an investor for my business. That's what I need. So I can serve, so I can put out more love into the community instead of the bullshit that's been happening. That's what you can do. That's a tangible thing you can do. Learn about us, buy from Black bookstores, you know, not just corporations, as much as you can. So buy from me. I'm just gonna say it. Everything that I've been trained to oh, don't be too aggressive, or don't say, don't say what you really feel, because, you don't want people to think that you're an angry Black person. And the thing is, we're angry, but we're not always, we're passionate. And sometimes that comes off as anger to people. So yeah, that's a start. Support Black businesses. I want to see Black vendors, a percentage of Black vendors on shelves in stores. That's the space I'm in. If we're talking about products and stuff, I want to see that, because you know what happens too? The thing is that our culture is, a lot of things in pop culture come from the Black community. And it's only legitimized by white people. Like having full lips, things that I was made fun of when I was young, is celebrated on white women. Having a big butt, which is a feature in Black culture, that's celebrated on white women. But they were mocked when we have them. And then what happens too is that our culture gets picked apart, and people pick at what they want to use from us without the responsibility of being us. And then these white companies will turn around and sell this stuff back to us because it's trendy. So that's why I said we're not a trend.
Absolutely not. And we're learning so much, and there's so much. It is terrible what happened to George Floyd. It is terrible what has happened to so many people before him. And it's terrible for all of these stories that we don't get to see because there wasn't somebody with a video camera who was actually there to capture it. And it's so terrible that overt racism is huge and massive and scary, and covert racism is even more so. The fact that, your son, when he walks in and he works, for the government, that is questioned all the time, is terrible. The stories that I've been hearing more so now than ever, and admittedly turned a blind eye. In terms of there's a huge issue that we need to face, and a huge issue that we need to fix. And it starts with, as you said earlier, acknowledgement. And we can't change what hasn't happened. But for us individuals, the people who are on this call right now, I think we're here because we want to listen, but we want to be able to know what to do. So with respect to the fact that, people, want to celebrate bigger lips or bigger butts, or listen to music without actually thinking about the words and what the stories are and what's happening. What are some things that you would love to see us do, that we can do, so that we, we're not offending you, that we're respecting your culture?
Okay, acknowledge where it came from. Something that you enjoy. I know it may be difficult because just acknowledge where it came from. And I mentioned before, like I think you mentioned before, is like, okay, if you have a Black friend or who's telling you what their experience is about, please don't say, I have, this Black person that I know and I'm not like that, because it takes away from our story, and then we got to go comfort you now when it wasn't about you. And it's okay to feel, because there's this, and I imagine that happens because, there's a discomfort and maybe an embarrassment or guilt and shame for everything that people who look like you have put us through. So you feel like, oh, I got to defend that. It's like, I'm not like that, and it's okay. Just move through, feel that feeling and just move through it. We all have feelings of shame and guilt, of whatever, but suppressing them and defending is what keeps the story the same. It keeps not listening. I got to defend, So.
And it makes it about us as opposed to what it should be about. And I know in an earlier conversation we spoke about that. And in White Fragility, she talks about this exactly as you said, this racial discomfort, because we take it so personally, like, oh, but it's not me, I'm not a racist, and it's a systemic problem. It's above and beyond us, yes, but it starts with, it's true. Like I am privileged, instead of, oh gosh, it's not about being defensive. It's about acknowledging and like, okay, now.
Yeah,
right?
That's it. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm not saying that you're a bad, but just acknowledge that you're privileged. And maybe you'll get it more and more by actually listening and hearing the conversations, like the one I had just told you about, an investor telling me, no, I'm too much, and then I have to look at but I still struggled and pushed through to bring my business out there. And then what happens is that when companies that don't look like us see that, hey, wait a minute, actually, this could be a trend, they're going to go make those products and sell it back to us. When we were told before, nah, we're not interested in you. You know, all the foundations, like makeup, that I know friends who are darker, we had to mix it and like try to get something to work for us because nobody wanted to stock. They only stocked up into a certain shade. And then, like I said, the darker you get, the darker you are, the worse it gets. There's less opportunity for you. So yeah, I know it's 2:00.
No, there were some comments. We can no longer hide behind the system. Absolutely. If people have questions, I know if people have to hop off, that's fine. If you have questions, though, I'd love to address it. If you have a few more minutes, Chantal, those who can stay, stay on.
I do.
Because I think there's still a bit more, and I want to be able to end on, you know, what we can actually do moving forward. And you've spoken a few times about this idea of we're not a trend, you know, and I think that's really important. And I think even just being able to call ourselves out and being able to admit and be willing to learn and make mistakes and fumble is huge. But I also want to get your opinion on, you know, a lot of people are saying different things about it's not our responsibility to educate, it's ours. I agree with that to a certain extent, and we can't, you know, speaking to the comment, we can't hide behind the system. Well, you know, this is the way that it is. I think it's a shared responsibility though also, and I know a lot of people are angry that why are we only asking now? Why are we only caring now? I don't get it, but I do, and I feel that as well. Do you believe it's a shared responsibility? Do you think that those of us who are realizing it's about time do our own education, and there's so many amazing resources and books or whatnot? Or do you think that, you know, there are more people who are as gracious as you who are like, no, I'm going to help because we can become better together?
You know, I know there's anger, and I get it about why now, but I feel like I get it, because sometimes like it changes. It's like, why do I have to explain to you, blah, blah, blah. But I know that there are people who are genuine and like really, they want to be helped and they want to be different. That's what I have to believe and hope. And I go by a feel. And I think that through conversations with different types of people, that's how change happens. Not by having no conversation or the same conversation over and over. That might as well be no conversation. So I'm open to talking to like white counterparts about things if it's going to help the greater good. Some people might not want to, might feel like, but I don't want, here's the thing. Sometimes when you move in love, because I've learned to not expect things from people. And I mean that on a different level, like not expect a certain reaction, just be open to whatever action, whatever reaction I get in whatever situation, and just move through that. It may be a reaction that I didn't like, you know, because before I'd only do things if there was a guarantee that it was going to be a positive experience for me. And I've learned to let that go, because you can't even imagine what opportunities can happen if you let that expectation and judgment go. An example I use is that, you know, my father is really rigid and hard. And I used to treat him like, oh, well, whatever, man, I'm not talking to you. And because he was so rigid and hard, but that's all he knew. And I saw that I keep at him, even though I felt like, okay, he's gonna reject me. You know, it wasn't about that. It was about me, you know, me becoming better. And lo and behold, he's all soft and lovey with me now, because I kept trying, even though I had every right to just say, oh, fuck off. You know, I didn't. You know what I mean? I gave him the grace, because I really want to grow as a person. So yeah, I'll just say that to you. Just move through the fear, move through that's part of the discomfort. That's part of the bravery, not knowing what's going to happen and what it's going to turn out to be, and maybe falling down.
hopefully falling down.
Yeah, falling down and getting back up and
Yeah.
trying again.
Yeah.
So if you do that with maybe with the people who are like, oh, well, no, don't ask me anything. Maybe they will switch to the other side and decide to talk to you. You know, it's just because I think that attitude is out there because, you know, people are so like, Black people, they're so sick and tired of the same shit, different day. It's like, why should I trust you? You know, we've been saying this. We've been, you know, this has been the experience and nothing changes. You know, this is why. That's my opinion. I think there's like no, I don't need to educate you. And I understand it.
And you don't. You're being extremely, and we had comments too. It's a grace that you're here and willing to chat with us because we need to learn. And I can't speak for everyone, but I'm ready to learn. And I'm so grateful that you can, but I also think it's on us too. And so I need you to call me out, to you know, to invite me in, or
I will share this. You know, seek out Black businesses. I'm going to say that again. Buy from them, promote them, support them, so that the narrative can change. You know, people hire Black service providers. You know, it's like we're tired of like fighting and like life is a fight in general, but when you have to fight 3 times as hard, it's like it's exhausting. So I'll say that. You want to do something tangible? Do that. You know, seek us, like seek information about us, support us, put your money where your mouth is.
I think that's a really great tangible way that we can do something. And I think Love and Nudes and what you're about is so important. And you know, you've had 2 amazing media interviews recently, so we're pushing those out. If anybody has any other connections, you know, please reach out to
let Carol know. Yeah, or let me know on my website. Let Carol know. You know, I'm going to be putting up a I'm just saying this out loud for the first time, what I was working on before I got on this call to you. I'm going to be putting that up on my website and sharing it, you know, just to know, because I feel like I need to say something, because it's like, I don't want to just shake my fists all day long. It's more than that. Because like you said, what that person said, like it's excruciating now. I haven't eaten a proper meal since Sunday. Because I just can't. Like my body is just like shut, like I'm so all over the place, you know, but you know, a couple of weeks down the line, it's gonna hurt even more when everything just kind of goes back to normal. Like nothing happened until it happens again, you know? Let me not, put that out there.
And maybe it will and maybe it won't. And maybe we have to, as you said, going back to earlier, we can't not have faith. Like we have to have hope. And so if you can have hope, then we can have hope. And we all agree that it's not a trend and it can't be a trend. And so
we are not a trend. We're not a trend. This is our lives, you know? Sorry. Yeah.
Don't apologize. Don't ever apologize. And there is anger, and there needs to be anger, and there deserves to be anger. And there's anger around the fact that you haven't been able to be angry. Like there's many layers that exist. And these are the kind of conversations that need to happen so that we can hear, because we don't get it and we won't. And I really appreciate your willingness to be here with us in this place that we fumble in, where you have to actually comfort us, which is not what it's about. And I want to be able to ask questions and make mistakes. And to that end, if there are questions—
That's your bravery. Ask questions and make mistakes and just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what Black people fire back at you, just get back up and keep going. Keep trying.
And be prepared to to your point, put your money where your mouth is. And if it is affecting you, and anyone who's listening to this, if it is affecting you in a way that you're prepared to do something, buy Black, go to those websites. We'll share information there, ask questions, be prepared to make mistakes and learn from them. And I really want to end, and we'll keep this on for those who have other questions, but I really want to end on a quote from Maya Angelou, which does give, I think, us hope. Do the best until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. And I don't think we've done better up until now. And I think we have the opportunity to do better today and moving forward. So Chantal, thank you so much for being here, for teaching us, for holding space with us, for sharing some of your brave experiences. And, you know, let's commit together to doing what we can to make it better, because it's up to all of us, and we'll do better together. So thank you so much. And let's continue these brave conversations, and go to loveandnudes.com, support Chantal, her work, and so many other amazing Black people who have awesome things to offer the world. And let's give them the acknowledgement and the cheerleading that they deserve.
You know what I just thought of? If any of you were to buy one of my products, buy the darker shade. You know, that could be just like to really entrench yourself in what it's like for us. Buy the dark shades. Buy the darker shades. Up to you. But I'd like, that's just something that just came to my heart. And if it's not you, share that with somebody else. Buy the dark shades, actually, that look like us.
You know, speaking of, you know, brave action challenges, and we talk a lot about these, Chantal, that's an action we can do. So I'm going to do that when we get off this call. I challenge anybody else who, you know, wants to take that on to do that too. That's a way that we can support Chantal. We can start to, never be able to walk a mile in your shoes, but maybe I can feel it. It's like what it's like wearing a bra that does not suit, you know, that is not my size. So one small thing at a time, right? Thank you, Chantal. Do you have any other words that you want to leave us on?
No, I think I've made my, I think I've made my point. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for
looking for you to do more than that, and to, I'll leave it with that, do more than that, and have those awkward conversations with your families, with your children, and with other Black people and other good people of color. Yeah, I'll leave you with that.
Thank you. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your wisdom, and thank you for the important work that you're doing in this world. I think Love Nudes is a beautiful brand. It's all about owning your own beauty, and we need more of that. We need more of you, and we need more of the people of the world to see that in you. And that's the hope of what we're here to do today in this conversation and moving forward. So thank you, Chantal, and we will to be continued.
Okay.